Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over the show 90 Day Fiancé, the episode that's titled I Don't Have a Choice. So the way I'm gonna do the 90 Day Fiancé reviews is to start with a couple and just go through each one and go through all the couple scenes in one chunk so that it's not scattered around, because some of the scenes are very short, and there's also heavy advertisements throughout this show, and because it is normally shown over a 2-hour block, they do repeat a lot of the same material. They'll show you before they go to break saying coming up, and then they'll show it like 2 more times before the advertisements are over. So yeah, by cutting out a lot of that, there's not 2 hours of material to go over. And also, as usual, sorry if you hear a little meowing or anything in the background. The first couple to talk about is Anna and Marcel. This episode started just straight with their scene after the last episode where Anna gave Marcel an ultimatum and told him, you have to tell your parents about her children. So anyone who doesn't know the show or haven't seen this episode, Marcel's about 38, I think. They're both in their late 30s, early 40s-ish. She's American, he's Turkish. He's Turkish Muslim, I believe. And obviously his parents don't, like that someone was, I don't think she was actually married before. I think her 3 sons was with a previous partner but not husband. So all this time they've been hiding the fact that she has kids from his parents and his family, and they also cannot speak each other's language. So they don't even get by on very basic. I mean, they literally can say hello, good, things like that. Like they use a translator app for everything. Like obviously it's a bit easier when they're texting because it translates straight away, but they just speak into the phone in Turkish or English and then it translates the whole thing for them. I don't know how you can get to know someone, move your entire life and do all this, and you can't actually speak to the person to get to know them. But so Anna tells her kids to, her 3 boys are like 16, 11 and 6, around about that. And they haven't exactly been thrilled with their mom bringing this guy over from Turkey who can't speak to them either. And it just, I mean, every scene with the kids and him, and even like, it's just awkward. So I mean, the kids obviously like feel bad for the mom, I'm sure, but they don't really, like the little one who's 6 said he feels bad. But I'm sure it's more they feel bad for the mother than they're actually like, upset that he's leaving. So his parents have told him he has to come back to Turkey and they can't get married. So that's pretty much all of their scenes throughout the episode. It's awkward. Her mother comes over at one stage too and it's kind of like, oh, you broke my daughter's heart. And I mean, I'll probably say this a million times throughout this video and throughout any others that I do. I mean, what are these people thinking? Like, you're hiding 3 children. How long can that last for? You can't speak each other's languages. How do you even know them? So really, like, they have no one to blame but themselves for this situation. So they've left it at, he's in a hotel, and she's obviously at home, both like crying and texting the other one. They have, even from the very beginning of the show, they've been hyping up this Marcel leaving scene at the airport where they're both like in floods of tears. So I think next week we'll see what happens. Next, on to Angela and Michael, who they've been on before the 90 days. So Angela is a mid-50s year old grandmother from Georgia, who works as like a home health care helper, and she's engaged to Michael, who is from Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria. He's mid to early 30s. Angela and he have just been, well, he's been denied the K1 visa. They found that out last episode, and the episode starts with her literally like barreling into her lawyer's office, saying, we've got denied, what do we do, and the lawyer kind of explains to her, well, you haven't actually been denied, they've said they're going to deny you. But his advice, he basically says you've got a few options, but the best thing from his point of view is to appeal the denial. And he mentions that 60% of the people who do the appeal then get the visa. So, but when Michael goes to his lawyer's office in Nigeria, they tell him they wouldn't advise an appeal, which I see the Nigerian lawyer's point more, because she says that the appeals don't normally work very well, because they obviously, one of the agents has denied it for a reason, and they normally like to kind of stand by the agent's decision. So the lawyer in Nigeria advises Michael to get Angela to marry him in Nigeria, and then he can go in to the US on a spousal visa, which will still take time and everything. So they said both of them said, we're looking at 6 months to another 2 years, and it could be any time frame really, because they don't guarantee you like it will be done in this amount of time. Like, it takes how long as it takes, and if there's this many people in front of you, Angela then decides she's gonna go to Nigeria to see what happened and speak to Michael. And she there's a scene where she's like looking through her house and lost her passport, and her house is just, oh my god, like it's a wreck. And there's always like a pack of children that it's very strange. And last season she was on before the 90 days, and they showed her going to the tell-all, and she started all these arguments with people, and she just does not seem like a nice person, and that's a nice way of putting it. She also is clinging to hope that at whatever she is, mid-50s, that she can have a child with Michael. So I don't think that's gonna happen. But especially if it takes another 2 years for her to get the Michael to America. Maybe Michael should look at this as a kind of someone's trying to save from her, but we'll see what happens there when she arrives in Nigeria next week. The next couple is Blake and Jasmine. You don't actually see Blake this week. It's just Jasmine being basically rude to Blake's mom. She like asks her for some help in the kitchen cooking, and Jasmine very reluctantly helps her. complains the entire time about basically cutting up a few onions and taking the tails off some shrimp. And she is, I've seen pictures of her before. She obviously started getting a lot of cosmetic procedures, and I'm one that, you know, you want Botox, you want whatever, like I'm not against any of that stuff. I think that a lot of people go way overboard, and she's a great example of that, because she just looks very plastic and superficial, and she was way prettier before she started messing with herself. Not that my opinion probably matters to her, but it just, yeah, I don't think she can move most of her face. She does this kind of like, with like this part of her mouth, because I think that's the only part of her face she can move. And Blake's mom is asking her some really reasonable questions, like, what are you going to do for a job over here? And she just basically says she hasn't thought about it, because a lot of these people on these shows somehow like don't think that they need to work to live or anything. But she comes up with a kind of off the cuff remark that she might be interested in being like a social media influencer, I guess. The mum also like asks her, like, you know, what are you going to do about the wedding? And you know, she's asking if Jasmine's from Finland, so she's saying, you know, over here it's traditional that the bride's family pay for the wedding and the groom's family pay for the rehearsal dinner, because Blake's parents are quite traditional and religious. Like, they don't want them to be living together before they're married, so that's why she's staying with his parents. And she just kind of says, I don't know. I mean, she's definitely in her, I think, mid to late 20s, someone that should, like, I'm nowhere near getting married, but even I can tell you that that is a tradition, like, you know, quite a tradition here. People wear white wedding dresses, and, you know, they get proposed to with a diamond ring. Like, it was very strange. And yeah, poor Blake's mom, she was just trying to be nice, and she couldn't wait to get out of the kitchen. And she did the same thing when he introduced her to her friends. She was like, peace, and went up to the hotel room. And the next couple is probably one of the most hotly debated couples on this season of the show, is Sinjin and Tanya. Sinjin is from South Africa, seems like a really nice guy, really easygoing. And Tanya has a lot of the characteristics of things people do not like about millennials. And Sinjin obviously arrives in the US, and as the show's title would say, they have 90 days to get wed. Tanya decided that in the middle of this 90 days that she would go to Costa Rica to do this course to become like a witch doctor. And so she's in Costa Rica at the moment, and Sinjin goes over to her sister's house, and Tanya keeps saying like she really wants a baby, she really wants a baby. And her sister has a baby at the moment, so he's trying to, you know, go and see the sister and play with the baby. And there's a scene where he like feeds the baby and everything, and, you know, he's really making an effort. And the next scene they have is Sinjin calls her when she's in Costa Rica, and it's her last night there, and she's out drinking with this group of girls and her salsa instructor, and the whole thing is just so awkward and cringe. Like, Sinjin is obviously saying, you know, please can you give me a text when you go home? And she's saying, oh, I can schedule these things on my phone, and I can't promise anything, but I'll try. And it's just like, you feel so sorry for the guy. And she just does not come across well at all. Talking about how like she likes to go and flirt with people and things, and it's just, and Sinjin's sitting in her mum's shed, like having moved to America for her, and she's gone off to Costa Rica. Like, it just doesn't look good. The next couple is Robert and Annie. Annie's from the Dominican Republic and Robert lives in Florida. He has 5 kids by 4 women, but only one of the kids lives with him, and the kid is like 3 or something. And Robert's sister Robin has arrived to stay with them, and immediately, you know, like they have obviously spoken a lot before, but they seem to have a good relationship, Annie and the sister. And actually, my preference would be if Annie and the sister got together and they got rid of Robert, because he's a bit of I don't know, he doesn't come across the greatest. But there's a really great line from Robert's sister, because Annie's saying like she wants her hair done, her nails done, and she wants these clothes and this bag and a 2-bedroom apartment and all this stuff. And the sister just says to her, you know, he's like poor, right? And you know, obviously Robert takes offense to that, but like the sister said, he's not a millionaire. He's, you know, he's an Uber driver, and he's got a kid and all this stuff. So they go wedding dress shopping, and the more I see of Annie, the more I like her. She does have a good personality. She's quite funny. And I did, whenever she's doing the wedding dress shopping, she was saying to the sister, who's very nice, she was saying like, oh, I really wish my mum was here because her mum's passed away. And you know, I can really relate to that. If I was doing some big monumental life thing, like I would feel that way too. And you know, it's just a really nice moment with the sister and her, and looks like she's found a wedding dress and everything, but who knows whether everything will actually go to plan. The next couple is Mike and Natalie, and they actually aren't in the US because Natalie hasn't got her K1 visa yet, but Mike's gone to the Ukraine to, you know, spend time with her. And one morning he gets up and goes to the American embassy trying to see, oh, is there, you know, I can check on the status of the visa and things. And they just tell him like there's a classified mark on it, it's still pending. So this kind of flags him as saying, have you, Natalie, have you applied for a visa with anyone else? Like, have you done anything in your past that would make a flag in the system? And she's furious with him asking this and says no and everything. But they seem to be having a lot. I mean, they do look good together and everything, but they've had some major blowouts. She's very religious, he's not. She wants a kid like right now, and he's saying just wait till you get to America. So I don't know, if they get the visa, will it all work out? There's a lot of hurdles for them to jump through, so we shall see. The final couple is Sasha and Emily. Sasha is a Russian personal trainer and Emily is his wife, who is living in Russia, and they've just moved back, and they have a baby who he's a good couple of months old now. But Sasha has this pattern of meeting a woman, getting them pregnant, marrying them, divorcing them. And Emily is the 3rd woman that he's got pregnant and married. He has 2 ex-wives and 2 other kids. So they're staying with Emily's sister, Betsy, who is probably my favorite person on the show this season. And there's this scene where Sasha comes back and he has like bought fruits and vegetables and things, and he just opens the sister's cupboard, and there is some junk food and stuff in there, but there's like these veggie sticks and like other stuff, and he just starts throwing it all in the trash, and the sister's kind of like, why are you throwing away my unused, in-date, fine food? And they have this like back and forth argument a little bit. The more I see Emily, the more I like her, and I really like her sister. They even the way like Emily dealt with the disagreement between Sasha and the sister, like she did take the sister's side, but then kind of said he's having a really hard time with the move and everything. So she just dealt with it in a really like level-headed, good way, I felt. Sasha just seems like so self-centered and, me, very controlling. He keeps saying like, I don't want Emily to eat this or do this or blah, blah, blah. He seems to want to spend all of his life in the gym, and if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. But Emily is saying she's going to have to work because obviously he can't until he gets the green card after they're married, and the work permit, and he's going to have to look after the baby. And he's like, oh, well, your family can help me. Like her family have jobs and lives too. They're not going to be able to mind your baby 4 hours a day so that you can go to the gym for 4 hours. But yeah, they're obviously staying with the sister in a 1-bedroom apartment, and they need to get their lives going again in the US, and Emily to get a job and everything. So I'm sure things will straighten out for them. But we'll see how long Sasha sticks around for after they get married, because once is a mistake, twice is a pattern. So we'll see if she's number 3 or the final one. Next week is Tanya comes back and graces St. John with her presence in the she shed. We will probably get to see Michael and Juliana again, who weren't in this week's episode, and it seems Robert's friends have some choice words for Annie. So the new episode airs on Sunday in America, and I will watch it on Monday, and hopefully I will have the review posted the middle of next week. But if you have any comments or thoughts about the episode, or would like to know more, comment, questions, anything down below, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you want to follow me on social media, it's the.ash.silver. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, guys. Take care. Bye.